thought we were putting water on my fire. You're really adding gas to it. And now I'm really burning so bright right now.
Welcome back to another episode of A Good Rally Podcast. I am really excited that we're here back after a long hiatus.
A long hiatus.
It feels like
Blink.
like
We've aged.
we took a hiatus before Adele, so she is really following in our footsteps, to be honest.
Is that true?
Yes, she's going to take a hiatus after her Vegas residency. But we don't have a podcast about that. We have a podcast about tennis. And on this episode, we have so much to unpack from the US Open. We're talking about Naomi Osaka's fashion choices and talking about whether fashion is as relevant as outside of tennis as it is in tennis. We're talking about the most shocking US Open 2024 losses, unexpected. We're talking about Frances Tiafoe versus Ben Shelton, part 2. 1 year after it just happened.
So good.
Black on black crime.
We're
talking about Novak being shut out of Grand Slams this year.
And honestly forgotten.
Yeah.
Poof, gone.
But at least he got his gold medal. We'll be talking about Donald Young and Taylor Townsend being mixed doubles finals competitors. 2 Black people in a mixed doubles final. How exciting that is.
Mm-hmm.
We got Coco. Ooh, Coco.
A moment of silence.
We got her coach, Brad, and how much we as individuals, you and me, Jay, are real. The light bulbs are coming on in here.
I'm telling you, the whole world is about to wake up to Brad.
And we're hearing things from Brad and we're like, huh?
You can't trust him. You can't trust him. You can't trust him.
We'll get into details of why that is. We're talking about celebrities being featured, getting camera time at the Open. And of course, we're talking about the champions, the women's champion and the men's champions of the 2024 US Open. It's a long list of talking points, but we're excited to get into it. So let's go.
Let's do it. Naomi Osaka's custom fit. Custom kit. I have a lot of opinions about it because I feel like fashion is appropriate anywhere, even in sport. I feel like a lot of people disagree with that because it is sport. They're like, just play. But to me, that gives shut up and dribble. And I don't like that. Fashion is important. It is important. It makes a statement, especially in tennis, because you're the only person on the court. So however you present yourself coming out of the tunnel, that says a lot to your opponent. Naomi Osaka came out in arguably the best tennis kit of the 2020s.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that.
Easily. And I think it was successful in that people started talking about it immediately. I don't care. Like it or love it or hate it, like it or whatever. Conversations were had. And I think that is what fashion is.
Yeah. I also think that sport and fashion have always gone hand in hand because the way athletes dress and influence people translates to how people show up in the world, like literal streetwear.
100%.
How like basketball jerseys are something that people have worn off courts forever. I own 2. So like, and I know I heard this in a different tennis podcast. And they were talking about how they basically don't get it. Like they didn't get why she was dressed like that. Why like they didn't get the effort put behind it. But I don't understand that because I think to a certain degree, fashion can draw a new audience to a sport like it did for me. And I think for you too, when we were younger and we saw Venus and Serena and they had specifically when they wore beads in their hair, because when we were little girls, wore beads in our hair. And like we weren't really into tennis or following tennis, but we knew that.
Right.
And so it served as sort of like a source of representation. Like, it's something that you can see someone else wearing that you also appreciate and enjoy and be like, oh, sick. Like, I've found myself in this other person. And sometimes it's not even that deep or not even that serious. It's just about like that saying. It could also be that saying where it's like, if you look good, you feel good and you
Right.
play good.
Right.
Play well, rather. But
I think that's really important in tennis. A lot of people argue about the impracticality of the outfit. First of all, she took the jacket off when she started the match. So the big ass bow on the back of the jacket was a non-factor. I feel like people were just like, I don't know, because tennis is such an old sport, a gentleman's sport, simplicity is key in tennis, in all things tennis. I personally disagree with that. And so a lot of people who are not necessarily new to tennis, they were like confused by the complexity of the outfit.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think that says more about them than it does about her.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and it's so interesting to juxtapose people's reactions to her kit versus Marta Kostyuk's kit at Wimbledon, which was based off of her wedding dress. And like, Kostyuk, I would say, exhibited the same amount of effort, but in a very traditional way, in the way that tennis can be incredibly traditional, because she had designed this kit and in a way that represented her, but it was still traditional. Nobody had smoke for it. But the minute that Naomi collaborates with a designer who I think is Japanese to design something that speaks to her, but it has bows and it's like not super traditional or like low key in the way that tennis and its audience can be understated but still have mad money.
Right.
Like, that's where the issue lied. That she wasn't trying to be understated with the fashion, but that the fashion was making a statement in and of itself.
Right. Right. I also think it points to the conversation, the age-old conversation of Black women, quote unquote, doing too much.
Right.
Like, we wear bright colors and we accessorize. And I'm not saying all of us do this, but like a lot of us do. And I don't think that there's anything inherently wrong with that. And it feels like we're having the same conversation, but we're having it on the tennis court.
Yeah. So I think all of that to say, we like her. We loved her kit. I loved her kit.
I loved that kit. I thought it was so dramatic. And tennis can be dramatic. But
and
I also
we loved
thought
the drama of that.
Right. Yeah. And I also thought it was honestly really simple too. For what it was fashion, but it was simple to me. Especially when she took the jacket off. I'm like, okay, this is a tennis dress. And she has bows on the back of her Nike tennis shoes. And she has pearls and accessory in her hair. That's so simple to me. I was like, this works. Now the tennis playing, a completely different story. And I wish that worked a little bit better, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Hopefully she'll be right back at it in January at the Australian Open.
Right, where she shines and thrives. And she does shine at the US Open. She has 2 titles there, but she also has 2 titles in Australia.
True. So, yeah, we love the fit. I know Naomi Osaka is probably like, also, she's a Libra. Of course she's gonna put that shit on. Like, she's a Libra. Yeah, and Serena.
I never knew that she was a Libra.
If we're going by, yes, she's an October Libra. If we're going by zodiacs, Libras like beauty, they like aesthetic, they like fashion.
Very true. So I haven't met a Libra yet who doesn't.
Yeah. Now, whether it translates is different. Some Libras can't dress, but they try.
Correct. An effort is always made.
Exactly. So 10-10 for Naomi. And I'm excited to see what she wears in Australia.
Yeah, me too. Because at least she'll wear something. Something.
Mhm. Give us something. Go on, honey. Give us something. Yeah. Okay. You want to move on to the shocking US Open losses?
Yes.
What was your most gag-worthy loss?
Carlos. I had a feeling that Novak would not make it far because ever since Novak won that gold in Paris, he's like, whatever about tennis, honestly. It just very much so feels that way. Like he has collected all of his infinity stones and he's done mentally.
Wait, so can you remind people what round Carlos was knocked out in, and like if
Yes.
you remember who his opponent was?
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so I want to preface this by saying that I saw Carlos at this year's US Open for round 1, the very first round of the US Open. He played, I was in the crowd against his match. He played against Lee 2, a qualifier. And I knew he wouldn't make it far. I knew he wasn't going to win. Actually, I knew he wasn't going to win, but I did not think that he would be knocked out in the very next round. He played well, but against a qualifier, going 4 sets in the first round is like, ooh.
Was that his first round match?
That was his first round match.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, crickets.
Yeah.
So I knew because it wasn't easy sailing in the first round.
And it should have been.
Right. It definitely should have been.
Respectively to like the other player, but like
he knew what it was too, honestly. And then for the second round, and I don't want to butcher this man's name, but honestly, it is incredibly hard to say. Carlos went against this Dutch tennis player who is currently ranked. Ooh, what is his current ranking? I don't even know. It's that. Sorry, Botic. It's low. His name is Botic van de Zandschulp. And the match was embarrassing for everyone involved. For me, the viewer, for Carlos the player, for Juan Carlos the coach, it was embarrassing.
I didn't watch this, so you'll have to fill in the blanks.
He had an answer. Botic had an answer for every single shot of Carlos's.
And was Carlos playing like Carlos and Botic was just able to answer, or was he just not playing like himself?
No, he wasn't playing like himself. You could tell that he was in his head about something. Post-match, he attributed it to burnout, which makes sense. Because he has been playing and playing and playing. Essentially, the entire year since he got back from that forearm injury, he's just been playing tennis.
When was the forearm injury?
I do not remember.
At the top of the year?
No, like the spring-ish time. Yeah. And that match was brutal. It was really brutal. He beat him in straight sets.
Yeah, that did surprise me to see the next day.
The sets were long, but he beat him in straight sets. And there was a point in the match where Carlos went to take a bathroom break and he looks over at Juan Carlos in the stands and he taps on his head and then he goes, and I knew at that moment, I was like, let me get my stuff and go. I was at a watch party. I was like, that's it. That's it. Because of the kind of player that Carlos is, if he's mentally not in it, he's not winning the match. He's not. I think that anybody who is a fan of his style and of his game knows that. He has to be mentally tapped in order to get the W. And he just wasn't from the moment that he stepped on the court. It was actually really sad. And he was in his all black Nike kit in mourning. And I said, fitting. It was just crazy. And in between points, when they put the camera on Botic, you could hear him going, oh my God. He was in disbelief. Everybody was in disbelief. The crowd was in disbelief. Botic was like, how am I doing? Just like, it was a crazy match. And then he was gone.
In the second round?
In the second round. Like some nobody.
Unfortunate.
God, actually, let me scale that back. I'm sorry, Carlos, I love you, but like, what was that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So speaking of that night, August 29th, a day that will live in infamy. It was the same day that Naomi was knocked out.
Yes, they were knocked out back to back.
That was like a 1-2 punch,
It really was.
especially for the people of color.
No,
Because it's
seriously.
like we are 2 soldiers down. Like 2 soldiers that I at least thought that they would be at the US Open for a long time. At
Same.
least, and honestly, I told you this. I was like, this is going to be Naomi's best slam. Like she's going to make a run for it. I thought she was getting to round of 16.
Mhm.
So for neither one of them to get there, that was devastating for me. Obviously, more devastating for them. Like, you don't come to a US Open wanting or predicting that you'll be knocked out like that, especially one being a current title holder and one having, how many does Naomi have? 4.
2. Well, yeah, 2
2
at the
at the
US
US
Open.
Open, but 4
4
in
altogether.
total.
Yeah.
Like,
Same as Carlos.
exactly. So for both of those people to have 4 titles and then not even make it to the round of 16, that I was gooped, gagged.
Yeah.
Like, just
Yeah.
my jaw was just on the floor. Could not pick the
Yeah.
bitch up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I could like step back into that night, it felt like this. Naomi Osaka went against Muchova, who got very far in the tournament.
She did
Shout
her
out to
big
her.
one.
She came back with a vengeance. Like
Mhm.
her and those brows, like you said, back with a
Mhm.
vengeance. So I can't even like shit on her game at all. But she played very well against Naomi. We watched Naomi lose in straight sets, mind you. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, only one thing will help me feel better about this L. And I said out loud, I feel stupid as hell right now. Because I said out loud, yeah, Carlos winning is going to make me feel so much better about this loss.
Jinxed
And what did he do?
immediately.
It's
The
called the
universe said,
commentator's curse.
listen, this is why you got to root for the people you do not want to win. This is why after both Carlos and Naomi were out, I was like, Novak is taking it.
I was silenced, honestly.
I
I didn't say a word. I did not say a word about who was taking it. I was like, I hope that Francis Tiafoe goes far, but I was not putting all my eggs in one basket. I'll never do it again, honestly.
No, I was like, Novak is taking it, honey. And I was like, he's got it. This is him and that knee. Yeah. On the podium. Yeah. And I knew it wasn't going to happen just off the strength of that.
Novak's like, I don't know. I don't know what it will take to get him back into the mindset of someone who wants to win. But because he's won so much and because he's won it all now, I think it's a matter of time before he's like,
I feel the same way. I think the only thing that would get Novak back into tennis and hungry like he was is a house fire, God forbid. But like literally
losing
having
all of his money.
his shit just all the trophies just burned. Cause then what do you have to prove beyond footage? Like what do you have in your home that reminds you that you are who people consider to be the GOAT? Nothing.
That's facts.
So outside of a house fire, my man he got 1 foot in the retirement door.
That's
He
facts.
is on his way out. He's has the most titles. Is he still tied with Margaret Court for 24?
Yeah.
He has the most titles, tied. He has the Olympic gold.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, we got to stop trying to climb the corporate ladder.
Right.
He's good. He's
Right.
good. He needs to sail off into the sunset, do his little Djokovic Foundation shits.
Right.
What does that foundation do? I don't know, but maybe they do things in Serbia, not here. And just like let the young ones take over.
It's true. It's true.
Because you don't have anything to prove.
No. And I think Novak just wanted to be the greatest of all time. And now he is.
And
so where do you go from there?
Yeah. So it's like, so what now?
What now? Yeah.
And that's okay. All right, let's move on to Tiafoe and Shelton. Francis,
Did you watch?
I did watch.
Wait. Now, if we're talking about like, I want to say, ole.
You got something to say? No.
Meow. Francis versus Benny was like two gladiators in the Colosseum.
Yeah. So let me just explain why I added this as a talking point for people who might not know. And I'm hoping there are people who don't know, because that means we got tennis newbies listening to this. But Francis Tiafoe is currently ranked 20. At the time of us recording this, is ranked 20. His rank will probably go up because he got so far at the US Open this year. And Ben Shelton is ranked, I think, 13 or 14.
Last I checked, he was 13.
Nice. They are both Black male tennis players.
Ooh, actually, Ben's ranking is number 17 now.
Yeah, so Ben's 17, Francis is 20. They're both Black male tennis players, which in and of itself, damn.
Wait, I gotta pause you again.
Francis is not 20.
No, he's 16 now.
Nice. Okay,
Good
so
for him.
Francis is 16. Ben is 17.
Yeah.
But at the time of this match, those rankings were different because Francis hadn't
Yes.
done his full US Open stretch yet.
Right.
But anyways, they're both Black male tennis players. We love that because there could always be more of us playing tennis. And I feel like tennis has somewhat of an untapped market, particularly when it comes to Black men playing tennis.
I agree.
Playing it well and going far. So last year at the US Open, Francis Tiafoe and Ben Shelton played each other in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that two Black male players had played a primetime match in the quarterfinals at Arthur Ashe Stadium, which is like first after first. Two Black males, they're playing at Arthur Ashe. Arthur Ashe, the Black male tennis player. Primetime, that's also a first. And so in that match last year, 2023, Ben Shelton took it.
In 5 sets.
I think it was 5 sets. And Francis Tiafoe was the more well-known tennis player between the two of them at the time. And then
Benny was a big.
Yeah. And then Ben Shelton went on to play Novak in the next round, the semifinals.
The iconic match.
I'm gonna hang the phone up on you.
Not
in the mood. But so this year they did it again. They got these motherfuckers again to play each other. Black on Black.
Like it's staged at this point because they know what'll get the people going.
Yeah, but I'm like, damn, it's so unfair. They're the only two Black players who make it this far. Sorry, Chris Eubanks, we love you, but like for stretches,
but the play is dirt right now.
Yeah,
sorry,
for stretches, it's Francis and Ben. And so for them to go against each other again, I'm like, damn, do y'all want me as a Black person to enjoy watching this sport? Every year y'all gonna do this shit? Every year?
I'm pretty sure if there were no disrespect to Taylor Townsend, but I feel like if there were a higher seeded, higher ranked player besides Coco, they would also have Coco Black. Another Black, like high seeded player, they would have her and Coco go against each other.
All right. No disrespect to Taylor or Sloane Stevens, but if like
Sloane, yeah,
or Alicia Parks, but like if somebody was seated like 6 to Coco's 3rd, and the 6th seed was a Black woman, they would have both of them out there scrapping every year. Put on a show.
Yeah. Yeah,
do the dance.
Just like how they used to love when Serena and Venus went against each other. And honestly, that's different because they were sisters, but they were also very talented.
And they were sisters.
And they sold tickets.
But anyway, back to Francis and Ben. How'd you feel about it this time around?
It was great. that match was so beautiful, honestly. Like, I know, like, on paper it's not what we wanted, because I would have much rather had both of those dudes take out somebody else.
Mhm.
But that match was on 10 from game number 1. They were not fucking around.
They woke up.
And no, I think they woke the US Open up, honestly,
Yeah.
because it was kind of like not given very much before that match. And I know it's like round of 32 for me is like when the tournament gets kind of good. But that match was great. And then to see them have a conversation at the net afterwards. And I know Ben was like, yeah, winning for the niggas. I know
No,
he said
for
that.
real.
I
Yeah,
know he said that.
honestly, I feel like any black person talking to a black person at the net would say that, because they're friends. They have to be
Right.
friends.
Yeah.
There's a small network of black people, and the thing about black people is we know each other. If there are only a
Right.
few of us, we're going to know each other. Whether or not we get along, different story, irrelevant, but we know each other. And the fact that they are actually friends, which you could see at the end of the match when they hugged at the net, he was like, come on, my nigga.
Like, take us all the way.
No, for real. For real. So, would you want to see it again?
Yes. Would
Okay.
I cry during it? Yes.
Mm.
But it's great tennis. They're both so talented. And honestly, Ben Shelton gets better every year. I know a lot of people don't feel that way about him, but I think he gets better every year, especially on hard court.
Yeah.
But Francis wanted it more this year.
Yes, that's
He
the thing that
wanted
I
it. He
that's
wanted
the thing
it.
that I did enjoy. Like, it's just a question of who wants it more, which
Right.
is always really fascinating to watch as the answer plays out, because somebody got to win.
Right.
So, okay, so the verdict is keep doing it. There can only be one winner anyway. Like, Tiafoe and Shelton will never share a Grand Slam trophy, so
Right.
might as well see them play if it's really good tennis.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I like that. Okay. Do we want to talk more about the Novak Grand Slam shutout? Are we good?
No. No
Yeah.
comment. No comment, honestly.
Honestly, the only thing I will say is, hate to say it, not a hater, because I know how talented Novak is, but I'm actually happy he was shut out.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that shit.
It's boring. I don't even think he wanted it as much as he wanted the 24th one.
I think if he listened to this podcast and heard us say it was boring, he'd be like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because he's controversial, but he's not a hater.
He's not a hater, and he rarely lies.
Right.
The
Right.
knee? Knee gate.
That fucking knee, man. Articles written about it.
Listen, fucking Google searches about what color knee brace are you allowed to wear at Wimbledon?
That's wild.
Hilarious. Yeah.
Did he wear it gray? Was it gray?
Yeah, it was gray.
That's funny. That's funny. Oh yeah, it was gray. It's the only color he wears.
Yes. His signature knee brace color for the 2024 season.
Yes.
All right. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah. Shout out Novak. Goodbye, Novak.
Shout out Novak. Happy retirement.
Right.
Go spend time with your kids. Okay. Moving on to Donald Young and Taylor Tay Townsend in the mixed doubles finals.
Yes.
I will say, because the US Open schedule is just so much.
It is.
And we both have jobs and other obligations. I did not catch this match.
Oh, you didn't see it?
I did not. I missed it.
Oh, I watched it.
Was it? How was it?
It was good until it wasn't, honestly. It was good until it wasn't. You can tell when the moment that Taylor Townsend gets into her own head, you can always see it.
That's true.
You can always see it. And for this match, it happened at the end of the match.
Was it close?
It was close.
Mm.
It killed me. I was like, oh no, girl. And once she's in her head, she does not get out of her head.
I think she said that in an interview. Like that's the hardest part about like once she gets into her head and she starts making errors that she normally might not make, it's hard to like reboot
Yeah.
and reset and it can sort of spiral.
It broke my heart. It was right there. They made it all the way to the final and it was right there. It wasn't like it was a blowout. It was not a blowout.
Was it 2 sets or 3 sets?
It was 2 sets.
Mm.
Yeah.
But it could have easily been 3.
Easily. And I watched Taylor in the women's singles before she was eliminated by Badosa.
Mhm.
And the same thing happened.
Mm.
The same thing happened in the women's singles in that match. And once I saw the look on her face, I was like, it's clipped. It's clipped. Donald, get ready for the runner-up trophy because it's clipped.
Mm.
It was sad to see.
Yeah, but I will say oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that I think she's an excellent doubles player.
Mhm.
She is. Like, she made it to the finals in mixed doubles. And then for women's doubles, what did she make it? She made it all the way to the semifinal. And then obviously, like, she won Wimbledon.
Mhm.
That's
Women's
her
doubles,
bag.
yeah.
Yeah, that's her bag. She just once the mental is good, I feel like Taylor Townsend is going to be unstoppable. And also, I have something to say to all the brands that refuse to work with her. Why are you not picking this girl up? She's super talented. She doesn't have a sponsorship. That's crazy to me. She just won Wimbledon. And y'all got her out here in this nondescript white tennis dress when she could have all of your logos across her chest. That's crazy to me. Crazy. I'm done. Shout out to Tay Tay.
I will also say, I think it was really nice to see her acknowledge I hate to say representation because I feel like it's such an overused word now, but this is literally what it is. Acknowledging representation. She posted on social media about like basically like people who look like us seeing themselves and like seeing that they can like do what we do, which honestly, if it wasn't clear enough, because maybe she couldn't be as direct as
She meant black.
a regular person. Yeah.
And she said it. She said it before. And then the clip afterward is the clip that everybody used because she doesn't say black in that clip.
Which is so crazy. Cause like I get it. Like black and brown people, people of color, whatever term people choose to use, like it's important for all of us to be in tennis because tennis is just so white.
Yeah.
And I don't say that in a derogatory way. I just say it as a
It's
fact.
a fact.
It is. And I think that there's a lot of chance and opportunity for other people to get into tennis. And more specifically, as a black person, it's important to be like, black people get into tennis. Like, shout out to everybody else. Shout out to like Latinx people who might want to get into tennis, Asian people who might want to get into tennis, whatever. But also very specifically because this is her perspective as a black person. Black people pick up a racket.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. So shout out to Tay Tay. I don't know if she likes that as a nickname, but I like calling her that.
She does. They call her that on the tennis channel.
Oh, nice.
Josh calls her that all the time.
Nice. But yeah, shout out to Donald Young too, who's actually retiring.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That
I'm
was
glad.
sad.
Yeah, I'm glad they made it to a final. That's really hard to do.
Right. I was gonna say it could be worse. You know, imagine you're like, yeah, I'm gonna retire at the US Open and you're knocked out in round 1.
Exactly. That is embarrassing. I might have to come out of retirement.
Exactly.
Just because you can't go down like that. That's crazy.
Right. The shame of it. Yeah.
And no shade to Danielle Collins about that. That wasn't a dig.
Is she done?
Yeah, she's retiring.
She's not doing anything else this year.
I don't know if she's doing any of the smaller competitions, but that's her last Grand Slam.
You know, I know she's not a topic of conversation for this episode, but really quickly, I wanna say She fizzled out. She fizzled out. She had a great start to the year.
Yeah.
She was winning everything.
Yeah.
And then people didn't like her personality.
Which
And I
which
yeah.
I honestly, like,
She was really sensitive. She let the crowd get to her too much.
that was the thing that I didn't like, 'cause you will always have hecklers.
Always. You're
And,
not
like, yeah, unfortunately, but also, like, yeah, I think it's just a part of the game.
it really is.
And I don't mind her attitude being something that people don't like, 'cause you can't always feel good in a sport like this where you're playing so many months out of the year.
Yeah.
But, like, letting the crowd get to you.
Yeah, it's talking to the crowd,
Yeah.
like,
Now
arguing with the crowd is
now for the drama factor, I like that, but, like,
yes.
in terms of, like, keeping yourself mentally in the
Right.
game
In
and
terms
not,
of winning matches,
it can be
no.
so detrimental.
They got her. They
Yeah.
got her. What they set out to do was successful. They got her every time.
She should be more like Medvedev,
Yes.
where he'll play into it, but this is why people think he's the villain, but I love him for this. He'll play into the crowd. He'll, like, bother the crowd as much as they bother him, and I think that is so funny.
That is true, and he's really good at it too.
He is.
And he wins on top of that.
Yes,
He
exactly.
wins.
Exactly. And Novak has done the same thing where, like, he'll, like, taunt the crowd. And I guess that's a tactic. That's a way to, like, not let them get the better of you.
Mhm.
But anyway, yeah, we weren't even supposed to talk about her, but honestly, congratulations on her retirement, because, like,
Yeah.
she's
I hope her
retiring.
and her dog Quincy have a nice life.
Yeah,
Nice retirement. Cushy.
she's retiring because she's had, like, basically chronic pain, and she wants to start a family. And, like, you don't have to have a reason to retire. I know a lot of people are like, "Will she consider coming back because she played so well this season?" No, like, she's made a decision, and congratulations to her for being able to make that decision and not letting outside influences sway her.
Yeah.
Like she let the crowd sway her.
Right. I think what happened with her is that she was not anticipating people to be so involved in her matches, because once upon a time in her career, they were not.
Which is fair.
Because she wasn't a star in tennis, and then she became a star, and people were like, "I'm gonna heckle you," and I don't think that she was ready for that.
Well,
anyway,
shit.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to her. Okay, we want to talk about Coco.
Oh, you know who I want to talk about? Brad Gilbert. Brad Gilbert.
Wait,
Brad Gilbert.
Let me just give some info for those who don't know. Brad Gilbert is Coco Gauff's current coach. He has been her coach for the past
a little
years.
over a year. A little over a year.
Yeah.
She brought one last year because she wanted new perspective and direction.
Yes. And I guess, I mean, I don't guess. I know he offered that to her because she was able to win the US Open last year, and she accredited it in part to him. But I will also say Brad Gilbert is a commentator as well during the US Open.
Yeah.
So, Jay, let the people know why you dislike BG.
Okay, Brad Gilbert has been making my ass itch since Wimbledon. I don't remember what round Coco got knocked out at Wimbledon, but the reason, and I will say this with my whole chest, the reason that she got knocked out at Wimbledon is because she was looking for direction from her coaching box, and nobody was able to give it to her. And there's clips of it. I'm not just making this shit up right now. There are clips. Go on YouTube. She's like, "I can't hear what you're saying to me. Speak to me. Speak to me," at Wimbledon. She's crashing out on the grass. And Brad Gilbert is sitting there, not even like offering. Mind you, Coco Gauff is a 20-year-old person playing tennis on the biggest stages in the world. And I think when you're that young and that talented, you need someone who will, if they can't offer you anything else, they offer you reassurance in the big moments.
Mhm.
Brad Gilbert was sitting in the coach box like this, not even looking at Coco, head to the side,
Jay looks to the left off
like
camera.
hands on his forehead, like he was thinking. Like he was thinking of solutions to Coco's problems.
He's like,
And maybe he found those solutions, but he didn't share them with her because she crashed out. And I was, as soon as that happened, as soon as she walked off that grass, I recorded a video and I was like, Coco, you need to fire him. You need to fire him because he wasn't even like, come on, Coco, you can do it. You can do it. You know how coaches do that even when they're like trying to figure out the solutions within the match. They'll at least give you like encouragement. He didn't do that for her. And for me, that was it. Like, that's all it takes. I think that Coco needed him last year. She does not need him this year. She won't need him next year because she's a different player than she used to be.
True.
And I respect Brad's legacy, but at the end of the day, I was like, Brad, you're a bitch. You're a bitch for that.
Can you talk about this tweet that you put in talking notes?
Yeah.
You want to show it on the screen?
Yeah, I'm going to show it on the screen. So Ben Rothenberg tweeted a quote from Brad Gilbert, and it says, nice that we've got 4 English speakers in the quarters and semis of the US Open. And Brad said it between interviewing Draper, who is a British men's singles player, and Demonar, who's an Australian men's singles player. What does that have to do with anything in the world? What does that have to do with anything in the world?
Except for colonization.
Right. No, like the casual, like,
nice that they speak English.
but also every player on the tour, every seeded player at least, every ranked player speaks English in some capacity.
Yeah.
So what are you really saying, Brad?
Yeah, you know what he's saying. That's dog whistle shit right there.
Exactly.
Because
I thought it was disgusting.
Because it's one, yeah, you're right. Everyone speaks English. They kind of unfortunately have to. I think it's actually unfortunate that they have to.
I think so too. I think so too.
Because and all of the interviews are in English, at least the ones that we see in America, which is a multilingual place. We're still seeing all the interviews in English. So like the fact that people don't ask Carlos, for example, I love using Carlos as an example because you witness it in real time, him having to learn the language better in order to give better interviews.
Right.
When like if it was presented to him in Spanish, it could be done so well and like very quickly, and we could get more detailed answers from him.
He wouldn't have to think about the actual language in which he is speaking. He would just be thinking about his answers.
Yeah.
To the questions.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I honestly think in a perfect world, post-match interviews in the press conferences, they should give players an option, right? A choice. They should be like, do you want to answer these questions in English or do you want to answer them in your first language? That's how it should go. Because a lot of the players on tour speak the same languages, right? Like a lot of them do. Like Spanish, French, Russian, whatever. You can have interpreters. They just choose not to. I don't understand. It's a global sport and there are no interpreters around. You are forcing people to speak English. That's disgusting to me.
Yeah. And just really unnecessary, truly.
Unnecessary. It's like lack of respect for the players, honestly.
Yeah. And then having players say that they at some points didn't feel comfortable with their English. Like Nadal used to say that. And it's kind of like, that's crazy. You take the best player who's ever touched clay and like has done things that might not even be imaginable. And then when he gets to the interview process, he's like, yeah, I wasn't comfortable with my fucking English. When we could have Nadal speak in Spanish to us here. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. I actually don't know what international broadcasts do. But again, we're multilingual here too. So like we should be able to have someone speak Spanish if that's the language they feel the most comfortable speaking, and like do the simple fucking work of having it translated for people who might not understand it here. They got the money.
They got the money.
They can do it. They need to hire us. We would DEI the hell out of that place.
It's about damn time. Seriously. Tennis is in desperate need of something. Something. The table needs to be shaken. The table needs to be overturned. Seriously.
But yeah. Forget Brad Gilbert. Also, he says females in his commentary, and I don't like that.
He said it yesterday during the men's final. He was at the press desk and he said it and my eye twitched.
Like, is she a goat? Is she a horse?
And then he was wearing that sharecropper ass hat, which I will put a screenshot.
I hate that hat. I hate that hat.
It's wholly unnecessary.
Yeah.
What are you doing? It wasn't even that hot out yesterday in New York City. It was 70 degrees. Brad, please get real. Please. And leave Coco alone.
Get a job. A different job. All right, enough about Brad Gilbert. Let's move on. I added this as a talking point because it also happened at the Olympics, and I'm starting to take it personal. Mm-hmm. Celebrity camera time at the US Open.
Right.
Simple question. Do we care? Because this is my perspective about it. I appreciate well-known people coming to see a match. Mm-hmm. But in this arena, in this space, they're regular people. They're not the people who are athletes who are training and studying and have battled to get to whatever stage they're at a Grand Slam. I'm more interested in those people.
Are you talking about the Taylor Swifts of the Matthew McConaughey's of the crowd, or are you talking about the Noah Lyles, the Lewis Hamiltons, the Simone Biles, like the athletes who come to watch the US Open?
I love when athletes come to watch other athletes. Yeah. It's like if Viola Davis was in the crowd and Denzel Washington was on stage doing the play. That's sick to me because it's like you're bigging up like your comrade, like your equal. That's sick.
Like you know what it takes to be there.
Right, because real recognize real and greatness recognizes greatness.
Right.
But outside of athletes coming, I don't want to see Kevin. I don't want to see that. Who?
It went viral, dude.
It went viral. Him watching the tennis ball,
trying to like see over other people in the crowd,
like a chihuahua watching the ball,
like a chihuahua. I
was just like, I do get it. I get it for the draw, for the people who aren't necessarily interested in the game,
right?
But
maybe like, look who watches tennis.
But maybe interested in other people who watch tennis. Fair, fine. Mm-hmm. But I don't care about and Taylor Swift specifically with Travis Kelce doing their little football season media tour where they gotta like show up to events and kiss each other on the cheek and shit. Him with that stash. I don't want to see that.
Her with that red lip.
I'm just like, listen, the thing about me and the thing that we've all learned in 2024 is that sometimes hating is okay. And I hate them. I don't hate them as people. I hate the coverage that they get because again, who cares? They're literally just two people dating each other.
Yeah. Two oralist, caucastic people who did not find each other. They were set up by the big PR machine.
Hello.
Let's keep it real. And then they go to all of these events and people take a million pictures of them and people there's discourse about the pictures. And I'm like, what does this have to do with my life? What does this have to do with tennis? Nothing.
it really is gaslighting because I feel like I'm experiencing an existential crisis where I'm like, is it me, Jesus? Like, am I the problem for not liking seeing this? A lot of other people seem to like it, but I don't give a fuck. So is it me? But the answer is it's not me. Because again, they're just two people dating,
Mm-hmm.
and they just so happen to have a date at the US Open.
Right. There was someone on social media said that you win Wimbledon for the prestige because it's the oldest Grand Slam and like, you know, it's like there's a royalness about it. You win Roland Garros for like the passion and conquering the clay. And then you win the US Open for the celebrities who will follow you on social media. And honestly, that's what it gave. That's what it gave.
That also speaks to like
America. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, dang, this is what y'all think about us, but
They're
it's
not
true.
wrong.
Not wrong at all.
Well, shit. All right,
I don't know. They offered, I will say, to wrap this segment up, the celebrities there offered nothing to me. They put them on the screen, and every single time a new celebrity was there, I was like, oh. Now, the celebrities that I appreciate are the ones who go to multiple matches in the tournament.
Ben Stiller.
Shout out to Ben Stiller. Yes, because that is a tennis fan. And I respect people who love tennis.
Yeah.
Not
aren't there for the photo ops.
Right. Not a person who waits until the quarterfinal, semifinal, final to cop their ticket. A person who's in the stands during round 1, round 2.
And I think Ben Stiller was it Roland Garros or Wimbledon too? I think it was Wimbledon.
He was at one of the other slams. Yeah.
Ben Stiller, if you ever listen to this podcast, wow, what a dream. And you need 2 people to go to the matches that you can't make and report back to you, let us know. I actually met him once. He's very nice, by the way. So we love Ben Stiller.
Yeah, a true tennis fan.
Yeah, for real. And Red Foo from LMFAO.
He talks too much on the tennis channel.
I know, but like I think anybody who had a shot to talk about tennis on TV would talk too much because it's exciting.
Yeah, I would.
But he is a real tennis fan too, and I do appreciate that.
Was he at the US Open?
I don't know. He didn't get any camera time if he was.
Yeah, that's true. I did not see him once.
Yeah, we'll leave it at that. All right, my phone died, so I can't come up with the next talking point. What's the next one?
The second to last talking point for the episode is nope, that wasn't true, actually. It's not the second to last. We have 3 more. The next talking point for this episode is the women's final. Was it a snooze fest? I personally think so. And why do I think so? Because I fell asleep during it.
Damn.
I was knocked out. I could not. Like, it was boring. Yeah. Arena Sabalenka, the grunts were like a lullaby, honestly. The rhythm of the grunts just put your girl to sleep. And then Jess Pegula, here's my thing about American tennis players. A lot of them. I don't want to say all of them. I don't want to generalize, but all of them.
Speak on it.
Where is the net play? We're not good at the net. And you can't just be hacking, popping the ball across the court and praying that your opponent gets the unforced error. Honestly, sometimes you got to be on the offense. You have to make the points. And a lot of American tennis players, I find, they just crack the ball. That's all they do. All they do.
Ben Shelton. He loves to crack the ball.
Yeah. I'll even say, no, I can't say Tommy does. He goes to the net. But Jess Pegula, her all court skills are just not there. Like, not there. And then the thing about being a player who cracks the ball, a lot of the time, like you have like fast pace on the ball and you're like moving your opponent from side to side. You have a lot of torque. You have a lot of power. Jess Pagula does not have power.
Mm-hmm.
And that showed in the first set of the women's final. And when that set was over, I was like, I've seen enough. I'm calling it. like the presidential elections, I've seen enough. I'm calling it.
Mm-hmm.
Because she had no weapons in her arsenal that could take down Sabalenka. None.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, for a minute in the match, I was like, damn, $1 billion can get you everything.
Listen.
It definitely can't get you net play. It can't get you the
Listen.
skills to win a major. No tea, no shade, but it's true.
Yeah. That's I think that for me is the more interesting thing if we're talking about the women's finals. Like when I found out that it would be Jessica Pegula versus Aryna Sabalenka, I was like, oh, Sabalenka is gonna win 100%. There was not a doubt in my mind. And I try to remain doubtful when it comes to a tennis match because like Carlos and Naomi and like any other gag worthy shocking loss, it can happen. Like someone can just not play well or the other person can just play incredibly well. But when it came to them two, I was like, Sabalenka would literally have to get as in her head, if not worse than she did last year in the final for Jessica Pegula to lose and then still probably no.
Mm-hmm.
But what's more interesting to me is Jessica Pegula's background, her coming from a family where her parents are the owners of the Buffalo Bills and the owners of the hockey team that I can't remember the name of right now. Like her having all of that, all those resources and all of that money and access and it not being good enough. And that's no shade to her, but it also puts into perspective how like with something like tennis, all the money in the world won't make you good enough to win a slam title. And honestly, that to me is kind of comforting. Because it means you can't just like win your way to it. You can't.
Right.
Like it has to do with talent and it has to do with dedication and it has to do with skill and also a little bit of luck, to be honest. Like lucky enough that your body is made the way that it's made so that maybe you have like a long wingspan or maybe you can build out big ass quads that help you like get to the other side of the court, Carlos. So money will only get you so far. And I hate to say it, it's twisted, but I'm glad that she lost because it's just proof. Her and Emma Navarro, the Billionaire Girls Club, that's what they call them. There's a Guardian article about it. You can have money and it'll take you some places, but will it take you to the podium?
It will not. It will not.
A sweet, sweet sound.
It won't even take you to 3 sets with Sabalenka.
Listen.
Because neither of those billionaire girls took her to 3 sets.
That's true. Honestly, shout out to Aryna Sabalenka. The grunting,
she's growing on me, I have to say. The grunting I never like.
The grunting is like nails on a chalkboard, but she is so powerful and so dynamic.
She is. And I think that she has a really great sense of humor.
Yeah.
She's growing on me. The grunting, now that is what makes me watch the matches with the sound off.
That's fair. We love her on mute.
Yeah.
Shout out to her. I hope she goes far at Australian, if not wins.
I feel like she's gonna take it.
I feel like she is too, unless Coco gets a new coach.
Right.
Or Naomi like really gets going.
Yeah. But the girls are down bad, I have to say. Mentally, they're down bad.
Listen, I will say what Iga Swiatek said is 100% correct. She basically said there is too much tennis.
I agree with that. Yeah.
And like first of all, I just feel like the urgency of these slams is less because they're literally playing for smaller titles a week before a major slam. And then the calendar year is from January. There's the Australian Open, and then they have smaller slams throughout the year until you get to Roland Garros, and then Wimbledon is right there, and then a month later it's the US Open in September. So they go, and then a lot of these championships, like these Masters titles championships, are required. They're required to play in them. They can't like bow out. So
Yeah.
these players are like, and again, it's just them. There's no team. You can't like sit somebody out and have somebody sub in for them. So imagine having to play at your very best for 9 months out of the year.
Right. And imagine having to play a sport like tennis at your very best. Like, you know, golf is a sport where it's just you, but it's golf.
Right.
Tennis is really taxing on the body. And
Right.
the amount of injuries alone that happened at the US Open is extremely indicative of that. You have players throwing up on the court. You have players going into the locker rooms to take magic pills and get seen by PTs. You had what else did you have at the US Open? Like literal injuries that knock players out of the tournament. Like you had it all. And if that is not the last Grand Slam of the year, if that doesn't tell you that tennis needs a reevaluation, I don't know what will, honestly.
Yeah. And on top of all of the physical ailments, just like the mental ones. Like
Right.
people not being able to tap into this slam
Right.
because they had to switch from playing on grass at Wimbledon to going back to playing on clay, which they had just played at Roland Garros. So they're back on clay after grass,
At the
playing
Olympics.
at the Olympics, playing for a
Yeah.
medal, and then having to switch from clay to hard court,
Yeah.
and then somehow keeping it together.
Right.
Who
And then-
who can do it?
Right. And then the tennis year is not done after the US Open. There are still plenty of tournaments up until November.
Exactly. So yeah, in actuality, it goes from January to November, and they're like, take Christmas off, a month out of 12. That's crazy.
Mhm.
I also think that in some ways might be why tennis doesn't have the sort of fan excitement that other sports have. Take, for
There's no
example,
off-season.
there's no off season, no time for fans to just get excited about it coming back, really.
Right.
And then there are no real breaks between slams. So they play a slam and then they're playing more tennis.
Mhm.
Like if they played a slam, everybody took off for a little while, excitement could build because you're like, oh shit, like my favorite player's getting rest. They're like getting their shit together. They're training. They're like getting their mind together for whatever the next title is, whatever the next match is, whatever the next slam is. That's sick. But if you have a tennis player that you love, you see them in that Australian Open, you see them in Australian Open in January, and then they're just playing. You're like, damn, I really want him to win Roland Garros, but he playing all these fucking matches. He might be worn out. He might not even make it to Roland Garros because of an injury, because he's just like mentally exhausted.
Mhm.
It's actually too much. Iga was right.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's the only sport that's like that. The only one.
Again, they need to hire us.
And off season would do everyone well.
Mhm.
But I think my question is, do you think that there is too much money in the game of tennis for them to ever reconsider the schedule?
That's the thing. I do think there's too much money in it. I think that the change could not come from the top down because of
No.
how much money there is. I honestly think that the players today, and this is wishful thinking, some people might call it like idealistic thinking, but I think that the players today need to be like Billie Jean King and do it themselves. Like there has to be, and maybe honestly, maybe that's why they keep them fucking playing all year, so that they can't come together and be like, hold on.
They can't take a break to like think critically about the
They
situation.
can't unionize.
Right.
They're like,
Right.
I think the players have to be like, hold on, this is actually too much. Like this year is such a good example of how it's too much. That surface switch back to clay for the Olympics.
Right.
I think the players are going to have to do it.
Mhm.
And that isn't idealistic because look what Billie Jean King was able to do.
That's true. That's very true. I think, yeah, and I think it's been a long time since tennis players mobilized in any sort of way, shape, or form, really.
Yeah.
And I do think that it's overdue. Honestly, I think Naomi Osaka speaking about her mental health should have got the ball rolling. But I do agree in that because they're constantly playing tennis, when do they have the time? And it's not like, so in order to quickly break down the money within tennis, tournaments are sponsored by banks. Some banks you know, some banks you don't. And banks are, for lack of a better phrase, bankrolling tournaments. And every tournament happens every year. So if a tournament doesn't happen, bank loses money. It's less advertising for them. Like it's a ripple effect. And because of that, I don't think that I agree with you in that it can't happen from the top. From the top, it will have to happen from the bottom, quote unquote bottom, which is the tennis players. All that to say, it needs to happen like next year.
It does.
Next year. An off season would just be so nice. I watch tennis almost every week and I'm kind of tapped out. Like there are a couple of tournaments left this year, but I will not be watching because I'm done. Like
because
I'm
it's
done.
constant.
It's constant. I just want to be able to miss my favorite players without me missing them because they have an injury. Love the sport. And that's why we critique. Yeah.
Okay, what's next for us?
Men's final. I would like to know your thoughts on it. I didn't have many because I was like, Fritz is not winning this.
Okay, so if you missed it and haven't read it anywhere, the men's
Spoiler
final.
alert.
Yeah, we should have done a spoiler alert for the women. Sorry. The men's final was Yannick Sinner, who's ranked number 1 in the world right now, versus number 12 ranked. It might have changed since this final.
7.
Nice. Number 7 ranked, but he was 12 at the time of the match. Taylor Fritz from the good old USA.
Yeah.
My thoughts around the match. I knew who was going to win before it even started.
Right. Correct.
I have watched Taylor Fritz play for the past year since I started really getting into tennis. And I know he can be clutch, but he can never be consistently clutch. And I think that, and I thought that in order to be, and I still think that in order to beat a player like Yannick Sinner, who is incredibly precise, like the best players that we watch these days have something about them that you can be like, this is why this player is ranked so highly, or this is why this player is where they are. Like Carlos's thing is that he can pretty much do any shot and be successful at it.
Yeah.
Like
he's a really great all-around player. Probably the greatest right now on tour.
Yeah. That's his thing. Like other people have serves. Ben Shelton's is his serve. Like people have their things. Yannick Sinner's thing is precision. Like no one can drop a shot over the net and have it land in that little corner of the baseline, like right there, like Yannick Sinner. He is so good at it. And also he does that. He can drop a shot in at the line and not have to hit the ball weakly. Is weakly a word? Like without strength. Like he hits the ball so hard and still drops it in. He is very precise. It's like if you took one of those tennis ball machines and like had the machine dropped the shots into the court. So playing somebody like that, you have to be precise also, and not let the environment, the stage, the opportunity get into your head, which causes you to make unforced errors. But Taylor Fritz will make an unforced error. Him and unforced errors go together
Go
like
together.
this.
Real bad. Yeah.
So I knew who was gonna win. I
Yeah.
said in 3. I said in 3 sets from jump. Once
I
it was
wanted to
announced.
I wanted to give Taylor the benefit of the doubt, and I said in 4 because I wanted to see a good match.
Mhm.
It's the final, like, and I had already seen the women's final in straight sets. I was bored of it. I wanted 4 sets badly, and he couldn't even give that to me.
Which I think is another reason why the tennis calendar year is too long, because at some point it just gets boring. Like, excuse me, watching the same people like show up and do well, and then because again we should point out that the winners of the men's final and the women's final, they were not at the Olympics.
You're right. You're right.
So
You're right.
so like it's just further evidence and proof that players need time off. They need to rest.
That's very true. They were both in Cincinnati, and they both won Cincinnati
Exactly.
like the week before the US Open started.
So what a concept. Turn this on. Turn it on.
And for those who don't know, Cincinnati is an ATP 1000 tournament that is played on hard court.
Hard court. And it's the last one before the US Open.
Yeah.
So wow. What an idea that 2 people who got rest because they didn't play in the Olympics were able to both win in Cincinnati and both win the US Open.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, 2 people who have weapons.
Yeah.
Taylor Fritz does not have a weapon to his name. Jessica Pegula does not have a weapon to her name. American tennis players just play tennis. That's all they do. They just play tennis.
I mean, that's true. To a certain degree. I think Ben Shelton, his weapon is his serve, but that can only take you so far.
I think Tommy Paul has actually, I want to take that back because there are certain American tennis players.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But the 2 who made it to the final,
right. Right. Like, yeah, to like give credit where it's due, Tommy Paul has weapons. I think he's an all-court player. He can be up at the net.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Coco has her athleticism and she can move. It's just her serve.
That serve and that forehand, baby.
Yeah.
The hole in the forehand.
But the way Coco moves and her strength. So no wonder she's ranked 3 and Arena is 2, because Arena is a strong player and Coco is strong too. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Coco's serve and the forehand is just where it needs to improve. But like, yeah.
Coco's ranking went down
to
6.
That's
Jessica Pegula is now ranked number 3, which is crazy to me.
No tea, no shade, but I don't think that's going to stand for very long.
Heck no. I give it, if the Australian Open is in January, I give it till March.
Yeah, actually. Yeah. Okay, back to men's final.
I don't have much to say, honestly. Like, it was boring. It was boring. Taylor looked like a baby deer flailing on the court,
which he does.
He couldn't keep up with Jannik at all. Like, Jannik made him look like an amateur, honestly. And he had all those Americans in the stand like, come on, you can do it. Like, all those people who don't really watch tennis, they legitimately have faith in him. And I'm like, y'all are so dumb.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't great. The best part about watching the men's final yesterday was getting hammered off of honey deuces the whole time. That was great.
That was fun.
Can't wait for Australia.
It should be good. I'm really excited for Australia.
I think it'll be great. I mean, obviously, like, we would want the players' break to be longer, but they're getting a break. Mm-hmm. And then they're going into Australia. So I think a bunch of people's mental spaces will be a lot different. Mm-hmm. Like a lot different. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Same.
Sinner. Sinner, sinner, sinner. Congrats to him, but let's talk about the doping.
Okay, do you want to give background information on Yannick Sinner's doping scandal?
Yeah. So I know this like the back of my hand, but I want to get a couple details correct. Because I don't remember what the spray was called. Okay, so for full context, in May of this year, Yannick Sinner failed 2 drug tests because I think it was his personal trainer or somebody that was doing like PT on him.
It was the personal trainer.
Yeah. Used this thing called trophadurmin on his skin, which contains the banned anabolic steroid clostebol. And it showed up in his test results. And typically when a player fails a drug test, they get suspended from the tour. It makes the news immediately. They get suspended because an investigation has to take place. And after they are proven, I guess for lack of better terminology, guilty or innocent, it determines whether or not they continue on the tour or whether or not their suspension is put into full effect for months, years, whatever. There's a penalty. Yannick tested positive for drugs in March and was allowed to continue playing. And nobody knew until the week before the US Open when it actually dropped in the news. Yeah, by the way, Sinner tested positive back in March for drugs, but that's okay. He's not suspended. He's our number one.
And at that point, when they announced that, they had already closed the investigation.
Yes, it was closed.
Mm-hmm.
It was under the table shiesty. Like everything was just done within closed doors, and it felt really weird because there are players within tennis who notoriously and very famously got suspended for years. These were not number one players, and one of them that I'm thinking about was a woman. And so I think a lot of the conversation and a lot of the controversy comes from the fact of like, well, why did Sinner get special treatment? I could tell you why. Because he's number one in the world, because he's a crowd favorite, I think, because he's a main attraction, he's a man, and I think because of the murkiness of the way in which they found the drug in his system, that also contributed to him not being suspended at all. He did get fined and he did lose points. They took points away from his ranking, which didn't affect his ranking at all. He's still number one. And he was fined a few $100,000. So there were consequences, but not the consequences that other people faced.
Wait, so for clarity's sake, he tested positive because his physical trainer used a banned substance when like giving him a rub down or something, right?
Yes, exactly.
And did the trainer use, I read that the trainer didn't use it directly on Yannick, that the trainer had been using it on his own body, and that then he went to give Yannick a rub down, and because he had like, he sometimes has open wounds from like just his feet getting sore, that was how it got into his system.
Yeah. Yeah,
but it still got into his system, which
yeah, I mean, I will say that could be true. That could be true. And a part of me thinks that is true, but you never really know in sports. And this is not me saying that I think that Sinner knew. I don't think he knew. I don't think he knew.
Yeah, I don't think so either, to be honest.
But I feel like that trainer knew something. Hot take. I just don't know because in sports like they try to make everything they just like it has to look squeaky clean. It has to. That is the nature of the business. I think that Sinner is innocent. I don't know about other people involved.
That's fair to say. And like that is, as a physical trainer, that is your job. You have literally failed at your job. Your job is to know what substances are banned and to make sure that you are not either directly or indirectly, intentionally or unintentionally providing these substances in whatever way, through a massage, through whatever, to your player. Like, do your fucking job. But he also did fire them before the US Open because they didn't do their jobs correctly.
Right. But also he could never keep them on.
Yeah, that's true.
That would look crazy.
That would, and it just wouldn't be worth it.
No.
But I do want to talk about like the ATP's treatment. I actually don't know the deciding governing body who decided that he should remain in play, but I would like to just talk about their treatment of him versus the treatment of other players historically. Now, I actually think that how they did the process that they had in place for Yannick is good. Like, I think that it's okay that I don't think that it's okay that they didn't announce this until it was over. But I think that it's okay that they didn't suspend him because now hold on, let me explain. Because it was a small amount and I really don't think there was malicious intent. Now, I could see why you would have someone sit it out until the investigation is over. Actually, just to avoid murkiness, maybe that is better. I'm thinking out loud and like coming to my own opinion while I'm saying this.
Yeah. I think for me, the only thing that I want for tennis players and for the World Anti-Doping Association is consistency.
Yeah, that's really what makes it shitty.
Because then it looks like some weird sort of like favoritism or something. It just looks super shady. What you do to one player when they fail a doping test is what you should do to all players.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, like historically, tennis just has seemed to be such a bias. Like the organization of it's just seemed to be so biased. Like when it comes to prize money outside of the US Open, the US Open has equal prize money for men's and women's winners, but like other tournaments don't. When it comes to how certain people are treated when doping investigations have to happen, men versus women, number one top ranked seeds versus like unseeded. They're like it honestly, it's really insulting because it feels like the organizations and the institutions behind the professional sport of tennis don't give an equal fuck about their players. Or honestly, don't give a fuck about their players more than they give a fuck about the money. Because why would you not suspend the number one ranked player? Because he brings in money.
Right.
Like, why would you not offer players more time between tournaments for rest? Because of the money. Like, everything has to do with money more than the actual talent that's bringing people to these matches, having them watch them on TV, making people buy fucking honey deuces. Like, you're disregarding the talent, treating them like shit, which is why they need to unionize.
Yeah.
And I would love to help them.
Honestly, yeah. It feels like it honestly feels like the only way that tennis progresses and moves forward as a sport. I think that tennis in the next 15 to 20 years, nobody will give a fuck about tennis if they don't do something drastic. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I've felt this way since Challengers came out, which is not inherently a tennis movie, but tennis is an accessory in that movie, a major one. And a lot of people who are tennis like diehards and are a little older were like, "What is this? I hate this movie. This movie's so bad. Like, it's not." But at the end of the day, it got young people talking about tennis, going to tennis matches. Tennis became like an aesthetic for the summer.
This is what
That
I got
that's
an
the
argument.
goal.
I got into an argument on Twitter about that.
Like, I don't understand why tennis as a sport, like people take pride in having a stick up their ass.
Yeah,
It's
very
crazy to me. It's
pretentious.
just sport. Digress.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think the last thing I'll say about this is I think the International Tennis Federation, the ATP, the WTA has gotten lucky in that for over a decade, they've had something that drew people to both men's tennis and women's tennis. For men's, it was like, which of the big three or big four, shout out Andy Murray, is going to win the title at this Grand Slam. That draws people in. And when it came to women's tennis, it was like, who's going to win, Venus or Serena? And then it was, who's going to win, Serena or Sharapova?
Right.
Or like, oh, Serena's retiring, we have to watch. Like, the ITF has had things that draw people to tennis for basically 20 years. But that's going. Nadal is on his way out. Novak will be out of here by like 40. I think he's going to try and push to 40.
Sooner.
If not sooner. Federer's already gone. Serena's having babies and like living her life. Like, you have to figure out how to make tennis something that people want to watch again without having those people to draw people in.
Right. Yeah.
But if you're just being unfair to players in terms of like not giving them enough rest time, suspending people but not suspending other people are going to be so turned off by that, and you won't have the big three or Serena versus whoever to draw them in despite it.
It's true. It's true. I think that people want to be interested in tennis. There are a lot of like grassroots movements surrounding tennis, a lot of organizations that are being created and developed and catering to like inner city youth, like Black and brown kids who are interested in the sport. People on the ground doing things to make tennis more popular. But it doesn't feel like it feels like this. It feels like a lot of people and a lot of like local organizations are creating the movement, creating tennis education and tennis programs and tennis opportunities. They have their hand out and they're reaching up towards like the big names in tennis, the ITFs of the tennis world, the USTAs. Actually, I won't say USTA, but the ITFs of the tennis world. And they want them to reach their hand out and like collaborate with them and acknowledge them and be like, yes, this is correct. Like, we want everybody to be interested in tennis, but the ITF won't do that. It just feels like having a conversation with a brick wall because they are gatekeepers of the sport. How do we solve that problem?
Unfortunately, so yeah, how do we solve a problem like Maria? That is very true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it is. And until that changes, tennis will always be very white, very boring, very gentlemanly. My ideal fantasy for the sport of tennis is that some billionaire or billionaires come together and they create an entirely different league for tennis where the rules are different, where there's an off season, where you get jerseys for the players, like the whole thing. The game stays the same, but the culture around it is completely different. And I guarantee you, if that ever happened in this lifetime, tennis will be one of the most popular sports. The most popular sports.
That and if people are taught how scoring works.
Right. One
that
step at a time. One step
listen,
at a time.
listen, scoring might be the bigger the bigger hurdle to overcome. But I feel like that'll keep somebody from clicking it off. I'll be like, I don't understand this shit. And even I sometimes I'll be like, wait, how did we get here?
Yeah.
How is it 5-7 in the third set? How did we get to like this tie break? So yeah. Everything you said and teaching people the scoring system, which
Yeah.
is one of the most confusing scoring systems in sports.
Probably the most, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, this is all things that we and those listening can think about until January.
Yeah. Lots to mull over until January. This season has been crazy. This tennis season. And this season of AGR has been great, honestly.
Yeah. It was a good intro experiment. We learned a lot about ourselves.
Yeah.
Our
We learned a
pod-
lot about tennis.
We learned a lot about tennis. Hopefully, those listening who've listened to the episodes have also learned a lot about tennis, and we have a lot more to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. And we will have plenty more to say next year.
Yeah, I can't wait.
It's
It's gonna be
good.
so good.
It's gonna be good. Yeah.
It's gonna be so good.
Yeah. So with that, I guess we sign off
For now, yeah.
for now.
We're
We will
gonna
see
go
y'all. What are we
take a
gonna go?
we're gonna go take a tennis break,
Yeah, we
collect
need it.
our thoughts,
We need it.
sit on a proverbial beach and just not think about tennis for just a little bit, just so we can prepare ourselves for next season.
Yeah, just so that we can come back next season and be super hungry.
And if
Like champions.
if people have questions, if there are topics that you want us to discuss on the podcast, feel free to email us.
Yeah. At agoodraally@gmail.com. Yeah.
And we'll do better about social media too. I'll do better about social media.
Yeah. We need to be on.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I mean, I guess we'll see y'all in big 2025.
Wow. Ugh, an odd number.
It'll be a good one. Odd but good.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Signing off.
Hasta la vista. Love you.
Bye.